Hello, everyone. My name is Georgette Truan. I am the co-host for Fight CPS with Miss G. This is a new show. And in this platform, we're going to be able to talk freely about CPS and the corruption of Child Protective Services, where they have become an adult-centered business to disadvantage of children. No longer judgment based on what the child needs or to whom, with whom the child should be with. However, it's all about hearsay with Child Protective Services. 9 days ago in San Bernardino, there was a case um, of a whistleblower. His name is Eric Bahara, and he warned San Bernardino County Sheriff Department as well as the Department of Child Services, and resulting in a total of 59 foster children being placed in the home of a known abuser. A case in Georgia, the biological father of the child had relationship with the foster parent, and it goes on and on and on. Even though the father is the abusive father of the child, CPS see fit to keep the child with him and not the mother. The topic that I want to focus on is concerning the children and the parents caught up in this legal kidnapping business. Ineffective policies and an agency that hands innocent, happy children to foster parents who strip their identities and confuses them with coaching, turning them against their own families and brainwashing them constantly. And that poor parents very often are the target to lose their children because they do not have where their home is not good enough. There was a false allegation from a neighbor, a false allegation from a sister or a brother or an ex-spouse, usually an ex-husband that doesn't want to pay child support. So what do? They report the mother. And all that, CPS reports false information. They report false information. They make the report fit their agenda to target one parent. I've said this before on my shows with Mr. Davis, that as police officers are forced to wear body cameras, so should a social worker. Why do I emphasize this is because when social workers speak to children, especially children, minor children, they influence them to lie and to say things that's not true to ensure them that if they do so, they will see their parents again. I had the opportunity to actually speak to a 13-year-old. She told me she remembers when she was 4. And the social worker told her that if she doesn't say that her mom did it, that she will never see her mother again. They handed the 4-year-old at the time to the father. And the father, and of course, the social workers had connection. The father had connection with CPS. The father also was involved after the divorce with her mother, was involved with a district attorney who helped him a great deal. And after that district attorney, after they got married, she became a judge. And the 13-year-old girl said to me, she said, "Miss Georgette, my father told me that I had to lie about my mom in order for her to see her mom for her weekly visits." And CPS was in on it as well. The sad part about this, her aunt is a social worker for the Department of Child Services. I asked the 13-year-old if she wants to be with her mom. She said, "I want to be with my mom, but my dad refuses." She said, "My mom went to court, family court, to reopen the case to see more of us, the children, that is." And what's sad about all this is that the family law judge refused to reunify the children with the mother, even though the mother is not a drug addict. She doesn't have prior history. She's never been in trouble with the law. In fact, she's an outstanding member of society. Her daughter told me a lot about her mom. And what makes me sad is that judge never really did her due diligence to see what's really going on. But instead, she said, I don't want to change an order that was done through dependency court from years ago. And that really sad, very, very sad that the children are not being heard. And it's very, very sad that human rights don't exist. Parents have rights. Children need to be with their parents. Now, I understand if the parents are on the street doing heroin, prostituting their bodies with their children, showing their children or taking their children with them. I understand that part. But when you have a really good family, the children are happy with their family, and all you get is allegations from a neighbor or from an ex-spouse that doesn't want to pay child support against a mother, that's disgusting. That's sick. It just blows my mind that we have a system that's so corrupt in so many ways. Only focus they focus on is money. That's all they focus on. It's not about the well-being of the children. It's not about what's good for the kids. And it goes on and on and on. Uphold the laws when someone fabricates or presents false evidence. If a parent alleges fraud, hold a hearing with the right to discovery of all evidence made available to parents. That's necessary, you would think, right? I cannot understand how social workers can get away with this. Child protective services have become an adult-centered business to harm children. No longer is judgment based on what the child needs or who the child wants to be with or with whom the child wants to be with or what's really the best interest of the child. It's only, like I said, it's only based on hearsay. I'm not sure if I believe reform of the system is possible. Truthfully, the system cannot be trusted. It does not serve the people. It eliminates families and children simply because it has the power to do so. It has the freaking power to do so. Okay? In my opinion, when a social worker requests to speak to a minor, they should not be allowed to speak to the minor alone. They should have, like I said previously, they should wear body cameras. Someone else needs to be present when they speak to children. When they go to speak to parents, they need to wear that body camera. There has to be some kind of protection for families. Because oftentimes, when I say oftentimes, I should say actually 100% of the time, the social worker would write down in the report things that didn't even take place. In fact, 100% of the time, the reports are under somebody else's name, not even the right name of the mother. How are you going to put the name Nora Hernandez when the mother, for example's name is Georgette Truan? You have a different phone number for the mother. You have a different address for the mother. But yet you tell the judge that the mother refused to cooperate. But how did the mother refuse to cooperate, you depleted people, when the mother never knew that you guys came to her home? That's the corruption that we have in the system currently. And somehow it goes on and on and on. Nonstop. Alicia Kim, how do you get your kids back from their clutches? My recommendation for you, Alicia, is to find the right juvenile dependency attorney. Do not trust the court appointed attorneys because they are corrupt, 100% corrupt. I don't care what anybody else thinks, that there might be one maybe that kind of slipped through the crack. I don't think so. They're all corrupt because they don't work for you. They're pretty much dealing with the county and the judge and the court. That's it. That's it. How many court appointed attorneys have evidence, facts, and they don't represent it? It doesn't make any sense. Why are they appointed? Because they know parents cannot afford a private attorney that fights them. So what they do, they stick them with a court appointed attorney that is pro bono. So what I really call them is court pretenders, not public defenders. Because if they're really indeed public defenders, they wouldn't force a parent to plead guilty for something the parent didn't do based on an allegation from another parent. Why do they force parents to say, plead guilty? You're going to get your kids if you plead guilty. That's not true. They just want them to plead guilty so they do not sue them. So they're protecting themselves. The law protects them. They set rules for themselves. The most important thing for people to understand is you should look for a juvenile dependency attorney that in your county and in your state. That's very important. You can't afford one. Borrow as much money as you can from people and friends, family and friends. A friend of mine actually needed a case, needed to be represented in court. And what she did a GoFundMe account. However, what I'm hearing now from other people I speak with daily is that social workers are forcing now the GoFundMe account, forcing them to bring it down, to turn it off. They tell people now you can't use a GoFundMe account to get money to hire an attorney, which is sad. I've also heard from other people, since I started working with attorney Vincent Davis, is that if you hire attorney Vincent Davis, we're going to make sure that you lose your children. And it happens every day, you guys. I hear it. The person that I actually spoke with was on the phone with me while the social worker in court told her that outside the court, in the hallway. And she didn't know that she had me on speaker because first thing she told me, she said, don't say anything. She muted me. And I heard everything the social worker said. This is what they do. They use fear tactics to scare you. They use fear tactics to get you to do what they want you to do. They can get a court order to check your home, right? To make sure you have food in the refrigerator, et cetera, right? But they have to have a court order to come in your home, to take your child. They can't just walk in your home, but they do. And what they do is they force you to sign in a family plan agreement. And if you don't do that, then hey, you're going to lose your kids. We're going to take your kids. So everything they do is illegal. Illegal. And we talk about it daily. Mr. Davis educates the people, educates the public, and how to fight CPS and when, for example. His book is an educational book. I always send it to our clients. However, we as the people need to get together all over the United States, all over the world, in fact, get together and stop them. Voting is very important. We need to vote those judges out. They're useless. What is their job? To judge fairly and accurately. They're not doing neither. Massachusetts is horrendous with their child welfare system. Mr. Wood or Miss Wood, every state in the United States is horrendous and corrupt when it comes to child protective services, whether it's Texas, Los Angeles, whether it's San Bernardino County, Nebraska, Idaho, it doesn't matter. They're all corrupt. Their main focus is money. That's all. They just want money. Funding is very important to them. So how do they ensure funding? By lying, fabricating information, like I mentioned. That's all they do. In my opinion, you guys, all parents are capable of making mistakes. We all make mistakes. It's called life. Life. Okay? That does not mean your child is to be removed from your home. Your child should not just be removed from the school. They just go to school and remove children. The case workers, social workers, all these people are often guilty of fraud. Fraud. Even if they lie under oath, they lie under oath. And they're caught in a lie. They don't get fired. They get promoted. Which it blows my mind. A social worker one time told me, no one can touch us. We're untouchable. I got really angry inside and I just looked at her, and I would never forget that. Ever forget that. And I looked at her. I said, every dog has a day. Never say never. But because of the immunity that they have, it's so much, so great, that they do things. They lie, fabricate, commit fraud, and they know they're not going to get punished for it. Judges believe social workers. I don't care what any attorney says. Judges believe them. Judges believe social workers, and I'm going to keep saying that until the day I die, because it's the fact, it's truth. When a mother tries to open her mouth in court, the judge tells them to shut up. They treat parents like dogs. Not even dogs. They treat them like dirt. It's disgusting. Bree said, it's hard enough having another member of society that makes false allegations, but it's nearly impossible to win when a medical professional makes a false allegation, which is what happened to my family. I provide the CPS. I proved that CPS is paying medical professionals, mandated reporters, under the table to refer children to CPS. That's a good point. And actually, you're right, Bree. Because there was a video that I watched for Nancy Schaefer, in fact. And Nancy Schaefer, I think she had like a couple of doctors that came on the show or on her program at the time. Nancy Schaefer was a senator, for those that you don't know who she is. She was a senator for Georgia. And she exposed CPS for everything they're done in Texas, in fact. And 2 doctors testified that social workers would threaten them that they would lose their practice if they don't do what they want them to do. So yes, doctors are in on it too. In fact, we have a client that took her 2-year-old, her and her husband took her 2-year-old to the hospital because the 2-year-old fell from the couch. So they wanted to make sure the child is okay. It was an accident. They wanted to make sure the child was okay. So they took the child to the hospital, Children's Hospital, in fact, down in LA County. And the Children's Hospital doctor notified CPS. And the sad part about it is they took the child and said that the parents failed to protect. However, there was nothing wrong with the child. And the CPS X-ray, so that the CPS, the X-ray report of the child, it was somebody else's child, somebody else's name on the X-ray, not child's name or their X-ray. They took the child from the hospital and said the parents neglected to protect. How is it possible the parents neglected to protect when the parents actually took the child to the hospital to make sure the child is okay? Do you guys know how many cases we get like this? We get so many. And they say the parents failed to protect. Another incident, the mother had a baby, okay, in a county hospital in LA. The mother, they said the baby came positive with meth, right? Now, the mother was explaining to me, she doesn't do drugs, she doesn't do any type of drugs. In fact, she can't even drink alcohol because it poisons her body. She showed me all the records. She said she did a blood test that day, and it was negative. So, is there connection with everybody involved? Yeah, there is connections with everybody involved. Barbara, CPS willfully committed emotional and psychological torture. They lied to my boy and got him excited about being back in school with his brother, then moved him to a group home nearly 200 miles away. As I mentioned, Barbara, they do lie. And they do lie to the kids. And they force parents to lie in order for them to get their kids back. There's nothing that social workers do that is legit. Nothing. Nothing. And like I said, we all need to get together. All parents need to get together. We need to stop them. We need to protest. A lot of parents don't want to protest because I spoke to a dad the other day and he said, "Oh, I'm really embarrassed. I'm embarrassed at work. I don't want to tell people at work they took my kids." This man never been in trouble with the law. He's never been in trouble with the law. Him and his wife, ever. But yet they took his kids based on allegations. That's it. No drugs, no jail time, nothing. It doesn't make any sense. But we all need to get together and protest. I see a lot of people protesting for, what they believe in, or a cause, or they want to get their voice heard, right? But I haven't seen a protest yet against CPS. Have we maybe get all together, all of us get together all over the United States and start protesting for our voice to be heard and the children's voices to be heard as well? I think it will make a difference. Leah said, "Hell yes, my lawyer so sucked, and her son has been in 52 different group homes. And he has special needs." It's things like this that's really, really sad. And it should be sad enough for everybody to fight against the system. I want you guys to understand something. The Child Protective Services and juvenile court can always hide behind confidentiality, okay? Clause in order to protect their decisions and keep the funds flowing. They want to keep the funds flowing. There should be an open record and court watches, right? Court watches. Look who is being paid. Okay, they're being paid. There are state employees, lawyers, court investigators, guardian ad litem, court personnel, and judges, and psychologists, counselors, caseworkers, therapists, foster parents, adoptive parents, and on and on. They all get paid. A foster parent, for example, is coaching a 4-year-old to lie. A 4-year-old. And that same foster parent is bribing money from the grandmother of the child. She's taking money from the grandmother of the child monthly to help her with rent. And in fact, the grandmother has proof of her text messages. She actually has videos of the foster parent coaching her grandson, her 4-year-old grandson, doing the Zoom visit with her son, with the biological father. And the sad part about this is that the grandmother, the loving grandmother, helped her and actually bought stuff for her grandson. But according to the foster parent, she's not getting paid enough. So she resulted to the grandmother. There's so much corruption going on that people don't understand. But what really makes me sad is that when people judge other people when their kids are taken from them. I love that part. Oh, so and so must be a reason why, they took your children. And this actually happened to one of our clients. She told me, Georgette, she said, I used to judge those mothers, their kids were taken from them. And when it happened to her, she said she cried and she realized that there are victims out there. Unless it happens to you, you would not know what really goes on out there. So a lot of Americans, right, don't understand. They think it's okay. There must be a reason. No, there is no reason. Because it's easier to adopt a healthy child than an unwell child. So they do target good people. And in fact, oftentimes, they don't even take a child from a home from an abusive father. They don't. They just leave the child there with blood gushing out of the child, with bruises on the child's back. It's sad. And you see evidence. So I call them stupid. Stupid, why? Because they see the truth, right? They see evidence of the truth, but still believe a lie. That's why I call them stupid. Leah said people are now afraid of ER. That's true, Leah. Very true. However, if somebody reports that the father or the mother didn't take the child to the ER, if an accident happened, for say, then they're going to say they failed to neglect, they neglected to protect the child, which is sad. It's if you do, and if you don't. You do take your child, you're neglecting. If you don't take your child and somebody reports you, you're neglecting. The school is in on it. All the schools are in on it. They see a bruise on a child's leg. Oh, Child Protective Services. What the fuck? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. But what the hell? What? What do you mean? Do you know how many times I fell as a child? How many times I scraped my knee? Rollerblading? Running? That doesn't mean my parents abused me. I've never understood abuse until I realized that the abuse is actually in the government, not in the home so much. Okay? I grew up with two wonderful parents. Never experienced all this going on. As I get older, I see so much corruption. And there is no fair system. There is none. And like Mr. Davis said to me several times, to win a CPS case, you have to use strategy. It's not about you being right. It's not about you being mother of the year at your child's school. It's not about any of this. It's about certain strategies that has to be used to get your point across to the judge. However, my thing is this: why can't judges read the reports? Why can't judges see evidence? Why do judges only believe social workers? Why do judges treat parents like they're scumbags? Why? Funding. It's all about funding. And then a family law judge, when you go open your case up and to be unified with your daughter or your son. Oh, I don't want to change the order. I'm not comfortable. Why aren't you comfortable, my dear? You see the evidence. You see facts. Are you not looking? Is it difficult for you? Like, what the hell? It just makes no sense. It blows my mind. It's one-sided, like Leah said. Leah, you're absolutely correct. It's only one-sided. One-sided. There was a mother. She married a firefighter. Okay? His aunt works for the Department of Child Services. She has connections with the department. And then he marries a district attorney who became a judge. And what's sad about all this is that they fabricated everything. Everything. And that man still has the children and has power over the mom. That man was actually diagnosed as a covert oh God, I can't say it. Covert narcissist. Let's just say that. By a psychiatrist. And in family law, mind you not. And still gave him the children, CPS that is, because of his connections. Now you think about this. He just got over a divorce. And all of a sudden, a couple of months later, you marry a district attorney who became a judge. Think about that for a second. You would think a CPS judge looks at that kind of like, oh, that's kind of weird. Because family court didn't take the children from their mom. But what he wanted to do, usually with narcissists, they want to win. Their goal is to win, and they would use anyone to reach that goal. So what I realized throughout, my adult years is that the system is one-sided. And the system is not for what is right. The system is about who you know. Who do you know that can get you to the point where you want to go? We also have Child Protective Services putting children in a group home. The grandmother is there. Why would you put a child in a group home? The grandmother is willing and able, loving, doesn't have any criminal record. She's fine. Because the group home makes money. It's all connected. They make money. Right? Another thing. When we go to court and we fight for our rights, right, and our children's rights. When a child says, I want to be with mommy. I want my mommy. Mommy, don't leave me. And the mother cries. The social worker says the mother needs psychiatric help. She needs to be evaluated. Why? Because the worker told the mom that she can't cry. Your mom is not allowed to cry when they're stripping her heart out of her body, right? They're literally removing her heart away from home. And they're telling the mother, don't cry because you're stupid, you're crazy. And in the report, they say the mother needs psychiatric help. They're not even qualified to say that. A high school diploma person should not be qualified to say that. Usually social workers are what? 19, 20, I don't know, 21, 22, 23 maybe. Yet they always have a say-so. They always have a say-so. And they always diagnose people. You're crazy because you're crying over your child. How many of you ever heard that? Don't cry over your kids. Okay, this person, I can't say the word, but FDSS, he or she said, always film any and every encounter with CPS. That is true. I agree with that. However, all of them, they don't want to be filmed. Why do they want to be filmed? Why? Because they don't want to be caught. You can go to a criminal and tell the criminal, I'm going to film you. They're not going to want that because you're going to have evidence that they lied. This is why I said they should enforce social workers to wear body cams, just like cops. People want to defund police officers, but we need police officers. We actually need them. Just because one or two are crooked cops doesn't mean all of them are. However, with CPS, there's not one CPS social worker who's actually honest. Not one. Not one. Because all of them have to ensure funding. How are they going to ensure funding? If there's no kids to be taken, how are they going to get paid? They're going to lose, right? Think about it. Carissa Ambrino said, try taking adult out of their house and put them with strangers. Look what they are doing to the children. Carissa, you and I talked about this today, in fact. Government officials don't know how it feels like to be stripped away from your child because they think their shit don't stink. They think we're the problem ones. But that's not true. However, if a social worker went to a government official and took his or her child from them, maybe then they will realize something needs to be done. But they're not going to do that. They're just not. Hashina Turner said, all of them lie. Baby girl, preach it. They all lie. All of them. Jesse Rosario said, let's fight and win, please. Jesse, this is why we do what we do. To open awareness to the public. Because oftentimes, like I mentioned, people are being judged when their kids are taken from them, removed from them. And most of Americans think that they had a reason to remove the child. However, most Americans don't understand that those families are good families. I had one of our clients who was a pastor, and his wife. And they had a 7 and a 5-year-old kids, a boy and a girl. The pastor was encountered by an atheist. Okay, nothing against anybody's religion. Suit your own. Hey, it's all good. But an atheist went to the pastor and said, hey, pastor, I would like to know more about Jesus. Can you invite me to your church? Pastor said, of course. You're welcome to come in. Right? 2 months later, that atheist, right, called CPS, told CPS that the pastor and his wife are forcing the children to attend school, Sunday school, in church. CPS was involved. They removed the children from them, telling them that a 5 and a 7-year-old have the right to make their own mind and not be forced to go to church. This is just allegations from this man. Not even proven right. That pastor cried to me on the phone for 2 hours. And I couldn't help but my tears, I couldn't stop myself. This shit is real. Other people I've spoken with, they're attacking them because they believe in Christianity. They believe in Christ. Why? Why is that such a freaking crime to believe in the Bible? Now, I understand that if you go kill in the name of Christ, that's not acceptable. But to pray with your children, that's wrong. It's wrong. A social worker the other day, the father is talking to his kids and the mother over Zoom. And the dad said, let's pray together. The social worker cut the visit short. And the social worker wrote in the report the father wanted to pray with the kids. It's in the report. So it's not a lie. It's a freaking fact. How is that bad? What's in the Bible exactly that Jesus said that's traumatizing to kids? To me, it doesn't make sense. So something has to be done. Destiny Cook, she said it's good for them to go to church. The devil at work hard. The devil is at work hard, and these people are carrying out his work for him. I agree. I agree. But however, I shouldn't say but, however, I don't, what really disturbing to me is taking the children because the parents are Christian. And then you put them, for example, the pastor's kids were put in an atheist home that don't believe in God. They have no higher power. But the Christian and the pastor and his wife want, baptize their kids. They want to set foundation in their lives or what have you. Why would you put two Christian children of a pastor in an atheist home? And then when the father wants to pray with them, the visit is cut short. It's like they want to keep us silent. Silent. And oftentimes when you put a child, I'll give you an example. When a child is placed with the abusive parent, whether it's the mother or the father, and the father tells the child, if you don't continue to lie, you will not see your mom weekly for those 3 hours. The abuse continues. But the mother all along was saying he's abusive. If he beat the mother, for example, when she was pregnant, how can he not be abusive to his children, right? Common sense. The mother needed help. She called the police. The police involved CPS. CPS tells the mother you failed to you neglected to protect your children. Then why did the mom call CPS? The police if she failed. It's so much going on in my mind that it just puts me in a position where like, wow. It's a big wow. But again, as I mentioned, we need all to get together and protest. I really believe that's the only way we're going to get heard. Leah said, how did we lose our constitution rights? They set rules in place, Leah. The government puts rules in place to suit their agenda. They set rules. Rules. That's all it is rules. Okay, so Leah also said, my daughter was abused in foster home, in foster care, and nothing happened to the foster mom that abused her child. Leah, I tell people I speak with often is always do everything in writing. You always email the social worker, her supervisor, and your court appointed attorney. It's very important because you need to have paper trace. Mr. Davis says this over and over again. You need to protect yourself. However, hiring a private attorney does cost money. And I understand that. It does cost money. It's not cheap fighting them. It's not. And again, as I mentioned, when you go do the GoFundMe for help to get your own attorney, they want you to stop it. Now, I haven't really talked to Mr. Davis about the GoFundMe yet. I would like to address it with him, maybe on the Tonight Show, the Relative Fight CPS show, because I would like his feedback on that. I had no idea that social workers can just tell you, you better bring the account down or else you're going to lose your children. They actually told several parents that, several mothers. I would say about total of 8 people I spoke with last week told me that they established a GoFundMe account and the social worker said she would lose her kids if she doesn't bring the account down. And if any of you ever heard that from a social worker, please be free to write it down in the comment section, please. Gigi said they used the Gabrielle story of the little boy that was killed by his parents. That's why they're more strict, but they're not really strict. They don't care. Gigi, I have something to say about that, baby girl. Okay. The reason they left this young, beautiful angel in the hands of the abuser, okay, because they want to say later on when the kid dies, like in this case, right? Oh, that's why Child Protective Services is needed. They're not taking the blame for it. They're not. Do you think these social workers got fired? No, they didn't. They want to create chaos in order for the public to say we need social workers. We need them. We actually don't need them. Not like this. Brianna Khan said, they can't, period. Your First Amendment rights are protected by your constitutional God-given rights. You would think so, Brianna. Honestly, I can't process how the people are being treated. I can't process that. And you know what's so sad? We actually pay them. We actually pay those officials, government officials, and they rule against us. It's sad. Susan Smith said, when you put the abuse in writing and file videos of the abuse in court as exhibits and even make a statement with cops about it, social workers and cops ignore the abuse by social workers. I understand. I think what you're saying is that when you videotape the abuse, they ignore it. That is very true. Because what they think is that either if you're videotaping the abuse of a child, for example, they think that you coerce the child. You actually are telling the child what to do or what to say. When in fact, that's not what the mother is trying to do. The mother is trying to be heard. The mother wants to show evidence of what's really going on. I have a mother that said, I don't know what's really going on, but my daughter is behaving different. She started recording it. She showed the social worker. And the social worker said, oh, she's coaching the child. The mother never said the father did anything. She didn't know. She just said, my daughter's behaving different. But they took that as the mother is coaching the child. So, and if the mother never reported that and say something, a whistleblower or something happened, then they say the mother failed to protect her child. But the mother failed to protect whether she reports it or not. And a lot of people say some men, I can't say all of them, but some men I speak with, they say, oh, they're siding with the mom. They don't side with the mom. They don't. What they do is they play the good cop, bad cop. They go tell the mother the father said, and they go tell the father the mom said, and then they go tell the grandmother the parents said. And what they do is they divide the families apart. Divide them apart. Remember, when you are divided from each other, you're weaker. When you are united together, you're stronger. Just let that sink in for a second. Why do they divide families apart? To weaken them. Weaken them. Because they don't want anyone to help you emotionally, financially. They don't want that. They want to break you. And the reason they want to break you, right? So they can say, hey, look at her. She's crazy. She's nuts. She needs help. And then they tell the mother who's weeping over her children, you need to go to a psychiatrist so he can give you mental, whatever, narcotic drugs, whatever they give. And then if the mother does that, listens to the social worker, she's desperate. She goes and takes the medication. They do drug testing random. She thinks, well, the social worker said to go to a psychiatrist, right? So I take psychiatrist, give me this medication. He gave it to me, but it came positive as drugs. So it's weird, ain't it? It's really weird. They're like demons in human bodies. They're dark inside. They have no substance. They're bankrupt from themselves. Bankrupt. Social workers laugh at mother crying over her kids. They laugh. They actually laugh. I have a client that actually recorded that. Her husband recorded that. The mother was crying so badly. She was on the floor begging them not to take her kids. And the social worker laughed and she said, I don't understand why you're crying. They were so cold. They're dead inside. I was convinced when I saw that video that they're dead inside. Another social worker in the courthouse, the mother recorded her on video, by the way. She told her that if you don't remove your sister, because her sister was standing up for the mother's right, and she was questioning the social worker. So the sister went with her to court, not inside the courtroom, but outside, waited for her for support, emotional support. But that social worker didn't like her sister. She told her in the courthouse, in front of her older son, right? I think she said her son was 28 at the time. She told her that if she doesn't take her out, let her, tell her to leave the whole building, she's going to lie under oath. I swear on the Holy Bible, she said that. I couldn't believe it. What the social worker didn't realize is that the son was wearing a recording device that showed it's an audio video recording device, but it was not noticeable for her eyes to see. That is. So when I saw the video, it's a threat. It was a threat. A threat. And then the son, I heard the son say to her, how would you feel if I tell the judge that? If my mom tells the judge that? She said to him, Hmm. Judges don't believe you. They're going to believe me. And she said, if I were you, I would keep my mouth shut. Did you know the court-appointed attorney told her and her son he would not allow that video as evidence because she did not give consent to that video? Yeah. And that's CPS for you. Okay? Social workers. Bobby Jameson said some kids should be taken. There were 2 kids in my county that had been killed by their parents. One was due to graduate 2 weeks before she was beaten and stabbed to death. Mm. Well, I'm kind of shocked that nobody reported them to CPS. Or was CPS aware all along and they did not do anything? I don't know. I have no idea. Carissa said they created jobs for evil people that steal children. Record all, keep text messages, copies, and show they still try to cover that up. But you have to have evidence. Carissa, you need the right attorney to represent those evidence into court. Like I said before, you have to use strategy to win cases. It's very hard to go to a demonic person and say, you're a demonic piece of crap, and be heard. It's kind of like this. I tell people I speak with. It's kind of like when the devil digs the pit for you to fall in it. That strategy of the attorney, the state attorney, right, will reverse it for the opponent, the opposite party to fall in it themselves. The one creating the chaos and the deception and the lies. Okay? That's what the strategy is. You have to use strategy to win a case. Not every attorney understands that strategy, but a strategy is a must. Julia said, what about the babies that are being taken? Julia, they're taking babies from hospitals and claiming that the mother is on drugs when the mother, in fact, is not on drugs. And then they put the baby in a foster home. Foster parents oftentimes become foster parents to adopt. That's called, to me, it's all nothing but money. Money. And a lot of people call it child trafficking. Yeah, it is. Pretty much child trafficking. Carissa Umbrino said, hire a private attorney that is the best for CPS. That's what my son did. Carissa, that is very important. That's a good point that I know you keep mentioning that on our shows. A CPS attorney is very important. And I'm not, again, not the court-appointed attorneys. Anyone. Mr. Davis on his shows, he never, ever promotes himself. In fact, he gets other attorneys on his shows as well. He wants people to get together and fight. Fight for human rights, parents' rights. Fight for those parents. Fight. Okay, Barbara Bernard said they put her kids in a foster home where they were given drugs and alcohol and were given an illegal firearm. That's my point exactly, Barbara. The drugs are to keep the children silent. Silent. I don't know if you reported this to the social worker. so-called social workers, they're supposed to protect, right? Sad. No protection. None. But if you did, I'm sure, I don't know your answer, but I'm sure the social worker said everything is fine. Nothing is going on. That's exactly, I'm sure. I don't know if that's your case or not. I'm just, my opinion. Norma said, I need an attorney for, and I need one attorney for in Tennessee. Norma, the best advice I can give you is to keep, like Mr. Davis always tells you guys also, is to keep searching for juvenile dependency attorneys. Call all of them. If you get 40, call them all and explain your case to them. Leah said families' rights are violating all human rights. You are so 100%. Carissa Umbrino said, join the fight. Let's all join the fight. I gave proof to the county director, Barbara said. That was her answer, by the way, guys. I gave proof to the county director of HHS. Then 2 weeks later, CPS lied about it in court. Pretty much. The county director, what is their role? What is the role of a commissioner? What is the role of a social worker? They're corrupt. So how are we going to get heard? I mean, Mr. Davis talks about voting judges out and voting new judges in who are family-oriented judges, fair-minded judges, judges that will actually read reports. Read. Look at evidence, maybe, before a case. Give yourself an hour. Look at it. Question how they came up with this. But they don't have time. So what they do, decide with the social worker. Decide with the social worker. As I mentioned before, it's very important, you guys, to understand that I believe, my opinion is that we all need to protest in every state and every county. We need to start the unity. We need to be heard. We all need together as a unity. We have to get together and protest against this corruption. It's very important. I can't emphasize that enough. Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. For the rights of all who are poor. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the deprived and the needy. Please remember this. Children deserve better. Families deserve better. It's time to pull back the curtains and set our children and families free. It's very important for you guys to understand that. We can't do this without each other. I can't be one person on the street protesting by myself. It's not going to work. But a lot of parents are scared to do it. They're scared. See, Medina said, very scared to protest and participate in the protest for fear of retaliation. You can't even exercise freedom of speech. You can't even exercise speaking your mind, saying what's right, exercising your rights. Retaliation. But you know what, Medina? They're going to retaliate against you whether you do it or not. Remember this, baby girl. When the devil wants you weaker, he will intimidate you. In order for, they're bullies. They're bullies. They want to bully people. Fear them. Fear them. And that's why nobody does anything about it. We talk about it. We're not the only show out there. People talk about it all the time. The corruption. CPS on the news. Fox News actually, they have a lot about CPS corruption. But nobody's doing anything about it, just like Medina said, because they're afraid of the retaliation of CPS. And that's how you keep your victim quiet. And that's how you keep your victim silent. All right, everyone. We're coming to an end here of the show. I just want to thank everybody who actually participated and followed me. I am here for you guys. I work for the law office of Vincent Davis. If you guys have any questions, please message me. You can also call me at 626-631-8901. If you want to watch my show tonight, is Relatives Fight CPS for grandparents' rights, uncles, aunts, etc. I would love to see you guys on my show tonight as well. And if you have any more questions, thank you so much for joining me, you guys. And I'll see you next week, same time, 1 p.m. And God bless. Bye-bye.